Altair giving probably the craziest burns of 2017. You thought Escanor was the king of one-liners or the king of just burning people to death with his words? Well, we have Altair in this episode, and what she does to Alice is so beyond fucked up. She was dead even before she died in the series. Like, just those words alone, that killed her. That straight up killed her. Altair says, when Alice gets impaled and she's falling and disintegrating, she's like, you may be a hero in your story, but you're just a support character in this story. And I'm like, yo! Like fucking yo! That is just complete and utter savagery right there. Because it's true. It's very, very true. When you think about it, all these characters that are brought into this world, recreators, they are basically support characters, or not the main character. They may be the main character of their series, their world. They may be the hero that saves the entirety of the world, saves humanity, but in this world, they are not the MC. And that meta, that the fourth wall breaking in that one moment, I'm like, oh my god, it's true. And it just makes you process for a quick moment, like, wait a minute. If Alice is the main character in her series, but she's basically a support character, got wrecked like that, that means that all these characters, they don't have plot armor. And I'm like, oh my god. Support characters don't have plot armor. So you gotta imagine the fans of the audience that are watching this, like in the Recreators world, how they must feel to see some of these iconic characters in their universe just die like that. I mean, Alice is probably a very big character, well-known character, many fans of her, and seeing her drop dead like that probably had many be like, whoa, what the fuck? And then when you saw Celestia just sacrifice herself as well and blow up and all that, you're like, holy shit. Like, the entire audience is thinking like she's probably the main character of this story, but then you see that and you're like, okay. And that's also us. The same reaction that we had towards Celestia's death was also the audience's reaction. We all assumed that Celestia was like the main MC of the creators and all that, and she wasn't gonna go down and probably till like the final episode, but that's clearly not the case. The same words that Altair used for Alice when she got taken down could be applied to Celestia. She is not the main character. She is a support character. And I'm just left wondering, who's the MC? I mean, I guess the only one that could possibly be the MC would be Sota, but still, like, holy shit, just Celestia going down like that. It's kind of like saying Saber went down in the first episode, or like in the middle part of Fate Stay Night or Fate Zero. I mean, look, imagine this. We know that this series is definitely referencing other genres in famous series. It's obvious. It's very, very fucking obvious. And it loves to break the fourth wall and just, you know, like a what if or whatever scenario. And in this case, when Celestia died, it's basically saying like a Saber class servant in Fate died this early, and usually the Saber class servants are like the MCs. For instance, Saber from Fate Zero, Fate Stay Night, they're in the MC. And imagine if like Saber was to die around episode 15 or something, everybody would be like, what the fuck is this? Like, why? Like, what? So that was probably the most surprising part, because she died like that. And if I'm correct, I remember talking about this a while back, apparently this series did want to actually have real series a part of it. It had a lot of issues or trademarks, copyright issues and all that, so it wasn't possible. So imagine if they would have gotten a real character that many of us love, like let's say Saber, actual legit Saber, and put it in Celestia's shoes and saw her die like that. Just imagine how many of us would feel if that actually legit happened. That would be some fucked up shit. But anyways, though, let's talk about, I guess, Altair in general, her as a character. She was very, 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 very emotional in this episode. A lot of emotions came out of her character, and she was definitely very open throughout this episode. But at the same time, she kept in character. She was still her same old self that she has been since the introduction of her character. She's a mystery, she hates the world, and the reason why she hates the world is because her creator was just sacrificed and she died thanks to how the world basically turned against her and didn't like her at all. And so Altair, she's angry with the world and what the world did to her and her creator, and she wants to get payback. She wants the world destroyed. We've known her emotions and how she feels. However, the way she was reacting or acting towards the characters in this episode shows a side of her that opens up more to her character, giving her some really good characterization. And the big point of that was to show that Altair, she is someone that is very broken, and she really wishes that she was loved as much as these other creations. Like someone like Alice, someone like Celestia, when they died in this episode, or Mamika, when they died earlier on, basically, many deeply cared for these characters' deaths. You can actually be honest here and say that many of us, even the fans that are watching Recreators, us, the audience, not the audience in Recreators, that are watching this, we cared for these character deaths. It was very tragic and sad, and you gotta imagine from the point of view from Altair, she's a character that wouldn't really be loved if she was to die. I mean, maybe us as the audience, us now, we might care for her, but overall, in the world, the universe of Recreators, nobody would really care if she was to be killed, because she is an unknown creation, she's not well known at all, and she's barely in existence, really. I mean, she's only going by thanks to so many countless creations of her. She's basically a Vocaloid, and that's how she's gotten this OP, is because there's so many people writing about her and all that, but she's still something that isn't set in stone. She isn't, you know, completely, I guess, like the other creations. She is someone that lacks that. And so, the only thing that really gave her life when she actually became bound to the world or whatever, when she finally had, like, a reason for existing, was when her actual creator died. And you can even see this in the opening song if you watch it. If you watch the scene where Altair reaches out her hand for her, you know, creator, and you see her just, you know, disappear like how the creations disappear, especially in this episode, you'll see the creator disappeared. It's kind of symbolizing that the creator disappeared from the world just for Altair to be born. And it was a very sad symbolic meaning to that opening part of the song. And so Altair's showing off her power and all that, and just showing her emotions, that she is just going to get shit done. She's done with this, and she's also constantly mocking the audience and how this world is. She's constantly doing that. I mean, when she's talking to the audience in this episode, talking about how, you know, Alice is a support character, or just directly talking to them, it's something she's been doing since the very beginning, or since her character was introduced and all that. And seeing her do this, it's really nice to see how Recreators is becoming a very good series. It's definitely holding up to those expectations I had a couple episodes back when this, you know, entire arc was being built up. So anyways, let's talk about the power of Altair. This needs to be discussed. So, it's very obvious by now that she is OP. She is completely broken. Altair is just insane, and the reason for it is because she is the depiction of many people writing about her. Since she's technically like a Vocaloid, and many can write different stories and stuff, and it attaches to her, she's gaining new powers and abilities, she is absurdly strong. She is broken, which needs to be said since she technically is the in-game boss of the series, from what we know. So she needs to be very strong, especially for a series that is spanning across many different universes and stories. Obviously, the main villain needs to be very OP, so Altair being strong is not really a problem. However, the problem lies in the fact that when she does get taken down, I wonder how it's gonna be done. Because is it going to be something that's kind of like a, oh, you know, it needs to be wrapped up because it's the plot, it's the story, we need to get rid of this villain? Because when you make a villain too strong, there becomes a problem. That sometimes it just won't make sense for this villain to be brought down in terms of writing. So I'm very curious on how Altair will be brought down when everything is said and done. And like I've been saying for the past couple episodes, before this arc is done, I feel like many of the watchers, like in the Recreators universe, they're going to side with Altair and probably feel bad for her, and she's going to get grounded in this reality or whatever, and she's going to gain more power, and she might even potentially win. Because as I've been saying, many series that many of us watch or read, many times we like to, you know, vote on the villain. We want the villain to win. I mean, that's just common sense. We always see heroes win, and many would love to see a villain win for a change. And I could definitely see many possibly backing Altair, because remember, they're unaware that this is really happening. I can see many backing Altair just to have a different type of message here, that a villain should win sometimes, because we do know that the audience plays a massive role in where this story is going to take place. However they react to it, or, you know, where it's going to go, it depends on how it will end. So, even though some of the characters did die in this episode as well, there is still a potential possibility that they're not dead. Remember, you had it to where characters have already came back from the dead. We've already seen it firsthand the past couple episodes, so we do know that characters are not officially dead until we know for a fact till the series is over, because they can come back if the audience wants them back. And on top of that as well, we also have to remember that we didn't really get to see Celestia, like, evaporate like we saw Alice do. Remember, Alice, she just, disintegrated. We saw her fall, she disintegrated, and then Altair is like, oh, you're, a support character. Well, when you see Celestia, like, blow up or whatever, yes, it looked like she's dead. I mean, it's common sense, it looks like she died. However, I've seen enough anime, read enough manga to know scenes like that doesn't necessarily mean that a character is dead, like they're gone completely. So there is a potential possibility that she could be alive, or almost dead, but not completely dead. So, yeah, anyways, besides that, I do like the action in this episode. There was a lot of good moments. I especially love that combo with, seeing Sho and all them Blitz just attacking Altair and how she held him back and all that. Very badass fucking scene. Really good art and animation. And then I also love seeing our hentai girl going in and fighting and how Altair just straight up exposed her for who she was. She's like, oh, you have tremendous strength, but you lack balance. Characters like you tend to not really have good stories. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, oh, shit. Like, the fucking wreck. Altair just wrecking that entire genre, wrecking that entire fan base. I'm like, bro, that is fucking funny as hell. So, overall, latest episode was great. It was tragic, but you know how I feel about tragedy. I get like a tragedy boner when it comes to stuff like this. So, yeah. Y'all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.